Hey everyone, GamerJlee here, and welcome back, and welcome to the first episode of the Around the Ring podcast. I'm your host, GamerJlee, and with me is my very special first guest. I was actually really happy whenever he said yes to doing this, but my very special first guest and fellow Washingtonian, KevinKoolx. How you doing, buddy?
Hi, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for having me on, GamerJlee. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to chat, and honored to be the first guest to crack the seal on this one here.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was actually really cool of you. Like, I was like, who would be like the perfect person to bring on? I was like, I could talk to this person, I could get some of my biases, and then like you and me had been going back and forth when we talked about like, oh, we're gonna hang out sometime, IRL, get a beer or something, and just hang out. And then I was like, let me just hit him up and see if he's interested. And you said, yeah. You were like, you're all for it.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna chat about stuff and things. I know, like I know we talked about earlier about possibly meeting up, but that was like back before pre-pandemic times.
Yeah, exactly.
My wife's family down by where you live, and so I figured like eventually I'd make my way down there like once a year at least. But sadly enough, things changed. The world changed.
Well, exactly. We're heading into a third year of this pandemic. It's just it's fucking wild, man.
Wave number 3, bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, it's like the third WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. Like, the immovable pandemic versus, the unstoppable vaccine, I guess. I don't know, man. But
maybe it's the rolls all the way around.
Yeah. There you go. But actually, funny enough, you and me have a connection before you and me even met. And that's through someone who I've known them for 10 years, actually going on 11 years now. But you've known them since the Battlefield days, and that's Quake Ranger Taya.
Yeah.
I've known them for so long, and last year they came out as trans and, a number of other things. And I was going through their comments because I was going to, post a supportive comment and everything. And I was shocked. I was like, is that Kevin? Is that Kevin? I was like, wait a minute. And then I messaged you. I'm like, how do you know Taya? And you explained the whole thing, but like you and her have been playing Battlefield together, like back in the, like what, Battlefield 3 or 4 days?
Battlefield 3 and 4 days, yeah. And then like MCC happens, or we still got kept in touch occasionally, just like paths cross, say hi and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I used to play quite often because like we were kind of like mutual friends with Battlefield content creator the name of Ruskov. He doesn't really push too much anymore. But yeah, like I used to play with Ruskov a bunch, and Ruskov knew Taya, and so just kind of how our paths crossed right there.
Yeah, it's insane to see like how you can know someone, right? And then years later you find out actually we had this small simple connection that we had no clue about until many years later. But with that, I have to ask, like when it came to your starts here on YouTube, you started, and I'm looking at your channel as we speak, but you started posting Battlefield, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Halo, number of different things. What made you want to like just start uploading on YouTube? Was it like something in particular? Was it just you wanting to post fun, interesting clips of like things that you wanted to remember? Like what was your whole idea behind that?
I guess when I first started out, like the very first commentary I ever saw was Hutch doing a commentary on the Machinima channel.
Oh god, Machinima.
Kind of doing like general discussion about Call of Duty and like how to play domination on the map. And that's where I learned like, oh my god, you let them have the C flag, you control A and B, you control the spawns, makes the game way easier.
I do that all the time. I literally do that in Halo now with Stronghold.
Yeah.
I know that exact video you're talking about. You control 2, you let them have 1, unless it's a direct line, you control 2 and let them have the 3rd one, but you rotate. Like, yeah, I know what video you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And so I put that video as the foundation of like what started me doing content creation. And I was like, well, this is actually really cool. Like talking about a game I'm playing right now and giving me some insight that I didn't know about. So that's kind of like where like it's like the foundation started. But like I kind of first started out just doing like general just like discussion, talking topics, like not even about gaming. I would just like hit record and just like whatever came out happened, or like I'd have an idea of something I wanted to talk about. It might even be not even gaming related. Because back then I was like watching a lot of like content creators that would just talk about whatever, like, and just have Call of Duty in the background, and I like that then. But I guess always kind of like back to by then I kind of eventually kind of came back to my roots of understanding like, well, the reason why I got into wanting to watch YouTube content and make videos is because I wanted to like have discussions either about the game itself or impart some knowledge onto people as well. So that's why I kind of came across like the news and information kind of stuff, kind of found my niche there.
Right, and that actually kind of leads me into the next thing. Like, what was the moment where it clicked with you and you're like, You know what? I need to go all in with the whole Halo, informative news format that you go with, because that's what you're known for. That's what a lot of people appreciate about you, is that you're really good about getting the topics down, talking about them relatively quickly, and getting that information out to viewers. What really made you want to, go all in on that?
Talking about them relatively quickly with about 8 to 10 minutes, to hit the YouTube mark, the magic numbers.
Ding ding, yeah.
So like, what kind of like got me into like doing just like strictly just Halo?
Well, not just strictly just Halo, but Halo news, yeah.
Like I said, like kind of like how I got into doing like YouTube content was like finding information that I wasn't finding anywhere else, right? I would go to YouTube for like tips and tricks or new information or something like that about the game. And so I saw that there was a bit of a void that was happening. I went all in on Halo because like, I know like Green Skull was doing it quite a bit. Halo Follower, obviously, he was still doing his thing. I remember like Chief Canuck being like a news guy as well, but they kind of like during like MCC post Halo 5, they kind of like got, I don't know what, they just kind of stopped posting so much. And so I kind of saw like this little vacuum right here that I was like, well, I mean, I can read blog updates and report them as well. There was, just like that bit of information that I think was crucial for Halo people, because like I know that like I watch like other content creators like for Call of Duty, Battlefield, and stuff like that for other games I like to play. That are like news channels that like I don't want to go bother reading a blog update.
Right.
I'll just watch their 10-minute video about it, or just listen in while I'm doing something else, And so I wanted to be like that for Halo.
Yeah, like that's the hardest part for someone like me who's dyslexic as fuck. Like I'm terribly dyslexic, and I'll go and I'll try and like read some of these blog posts, and I'll just be like, the text will just start melding together. I'm just like, fuck you, I'll just wait until Kevin makes a video, or or Pat Man, who's another homie of ours who's also kind of in that news sphere, sort of. He does a little bit of column A, column B, but he's someone who, like, whenever I discovered you, not too long after I discovered him, I was like, these guys like both are really good, and they both have like kind of separate takes for the most part. So yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, like Pat, I think has his way. Like he likes his Halo, and I like the way I like my Halo, like everyone does,
Yeah, exactly.
Some people like their Halo with a little bit of sprint, and some people like their Halo with a little bit of hit scan. You know what I mean?
Some people like their Halo with a little bit of armor lock. And those people we don't talk about very much.
And sometimes there's some good parts like cilantro that just some people taste like soap.
Yeah, exactly. But speaking of like your channel and the output you do, like how you work a full-time job just like me.
Yeah.
I work my 9 to 5. I've got my full-time job. How do you balance family? You're a married man, you've got family, you've got work, you've got your channel, and yet you're always on top of you. You're always pumping out content. You're always getting to be one of the first, if not the first person to cover a subject. How do you balance that and not like get burnt out and such?
I'd say first of all that my wife is incredibly supportive of me doing the whole like YouTube and Twitch thing. She thinks it's like actually kind of cool. Sometimes she goes to like, cause she is a behavioral therapist for some kids in school, and like she'll kind of like flex a little bit, like my husband's a YouTuber, because like now, like nowadays kids like grow up that, like instead of being like astronauts and like firemen, they want to be YouTubers and stuff. That's like the new movie star to them kind of thing. And so she's super supportive about that. So she's very understanding, like, hey babe, can I have like a couple hours to pump out a video? She's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. So that's definitely one thing. Another thing is that like ever since the pandemic hit, that's where I really kind of like doubled down on trying to do like all daily uploads, because before I was doing like about 3 videos a week, maybe 2 videos a week. But then I tried doing daily videos when the pandemic started, because like, well, I was just working from home, and I can find some time out of work during like, take a break from work to make a video or something like that, So that really helps me balance out YouTube and work as well from working from home. And I hope it stays that way, because I really like working from home. And my office is like 45 minutes away from where I live. So commuting is a lot easier.
Like I could just imagine you, one hand on the steering wheel, the other hand with the phone, checking through the blog post, trying to like get your mindset ready for what you're going to talk about. Like,
if I was doing that, I'd be dead so fast. I never text while driving, because I like trying to split my attention is just terrible. One thing at a time.
Yeah, don't text and drive, people. Don't do that.
My wife does it though. She's usually driving, playing Tetris, and on a phone call at the same time.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, she's actually heard me in the back. She's like, "I love you."
No, my girl's extremely supportive towards what I do. Like there will be times where I get home from work and like I work a very physically, labor job. I'm throwing freight and so on. And I'll be like, babe, can you wake me up at this time because I need to get up and record a video? And she'll come up and she'll be like, babe, you need to get up. It's I've already got your coffee sitting in there and everything. And she's such a wonderful girl. I absolutely love her. We're very lucky men to have the women in our lives.
Yeah, but that's also like, kind of add on top of that too. Like I know like sometimes a lot of people have that issue with like their significant other doesn't like them playing video games.
Yeah.
But it's more about an issue of them feeling like they're not getting their one-on-one time, which I definitely leave time for that as well. I make sure like when my wife comes home that spend some time with her, cook some food, watch a show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can't just
look at Boba Fett right now.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we're getting into that show. We watched the first 2 episodes. Awesome so far.
Yeah.
Or like when I was going to the office, I would like come home, spend some time, then go work on a video or play games and stuff like that, or make sure that like my tasks that I need to do around the house, like maybe I need to vacuum that day or pick things up or do some dishes or something that was done before I did video games or before I did YouTube stuff. I wasn't ignoring my duties at home. So that's why I've always tried to fit my gaming around my life rather than my life around gaming.
Yeah, and that's the smart way to do it. Like I'm sure that all of us have had that slip up of like, all I want to do is like work on this or like I want to play with the boys or something like that. And like, we've all had those slip ups, I'm sure.
Sometimes imbalance happens.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing I also like, this is something that I've dealt with this past year, probably a few years actually, is burnout. Like how do you control not getting burnt out on Halo when it's what you talk about, what you cover, and you're doing this on a consistent basis now, like you said, almost daily, if not 3 times a week. How do you stop yourself from getting burnt out talking about a subject that you've been talking about for nearly 10 years?
Oh geez, you're right. I find a lot of motivation from progress on my videos, either like improvements in the editing, improvements in my speech and performance in a way, or presentation, I guess I would say the better word for that. But also like saying like recently, I've kind of gotten a lot of motivation because I've been seeing some pretty good success recently, like getting like 10 to 20,000 views on a video now compared to like 5,000 when the game came out. So like that like ups and downs of like YouTube, like that happens, there'll be highs, there'll be lows and stuff. And the main thing is just like knowing that like if I just keep chugging at this, it's gonna keep growing, it's gonna keep doing more. And I'm seeing some good success so far, and I want to really try to keep pushing that. And also just like the whole like YouTube and Twitch content side of things is like it's really like a nice little bonus to like the income, because then like it really helps make life a little bit easier for me, where I can like afford little extra things where normally I wouldn't if I was just working.
I've been very lucky with the support I've gotten on Twitch. Actually, last night I was streaming and I got rated by Lyle Forever. Have you heard of that person?
No, I haven't.
They're a person that streams in a frog suit with like the face paint and everything. And they rated me with over 530 people, and my chat was moving like a mile a minute. I was like having a stroke. And the worst part is that we had like 5 people in the Discord call chatting and playing Halo, and everyone's talking over each other and everyone's losing their damn mind as my notifications are going off and people are redeeming subs and stuff. I'm just like, thank you. Hi. Like that elevator speech you're supposed to have ready for you whenever you get those big moments. It was gone. My mind was just like, it was not there. So I've been in your Twitch chats a number of times, and I've come in there, and I always drop the Prime sub whenever I can, but like you have an entirely different energy between your YouTube channel and your Twitch, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, like with your YouTube channel, you go there and you get professional, news and opinion from KevinKoolx, and then you go to Twitch and you got wild fun Kevin over there dabbing and everything else, like just being the absolute life of the party. It's really good to see.
Yeah, that's one thing I try to put more emphasis on Twitch, is that since I do have a smaller audience there, that I try to be more interactive with the chat than like most people out there.
Yeah.
Just because I find like that's the cool part about Twitch, right? Is that you get to interact with people and kind of talk shop about whatever your hobby is, really. And so that being Halo, I try to my best to be like interactive with the chat, reading most of the comments out there. So I might miss a couple out there just because I'm playing the game at the same time.
Yeah.
But I guess I just try to bring a little bit more fun rather than just like, hey, watch me play video games,
Right, exactly. And with things going on right now with Halo Infinite. Like, we'll talk about one of your recent videos here in a second, but one of the things that actually has been going on is the return of the Tenrai event. And that's actually something I kind of wanted to sit down and talk with you about. How are you liking the changes and improvements they made to the Tenrai event compared to when it initially started? And there was a lot of criticism of it.
Well, the battle pass certainly got a lot better after level 10. Like, it became like worth grinding for. So like A+ job, I'd say, on the battle pass. Like, obviously you could have 4 shoulder pads for a tier or something like that, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, more customization, the better, but like there's certainly a limit. But like the battle pass, like if we get something like that for like season 2, I'd say Halo Infinite, like if it was like the last 20 tiers of Tenrai, then I think we got some good content coming us for like season 2 battle pass. I have a certainly feeling it's gonna be better. Yeah, the store, it's an issue. Things are overpriced.
I could talk about that for days.
Yeah, like that armor effect for $20 and like some emblems. I'm like, that ain't cheap. Like even for $10, like just one armor effect, like even though it looks sick, that ain't it for me, Chief. And you know, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who didn't buy it. I certainly saw people playing matchmaking who did buy it, you know, but and there's always going to be those people, and it's always just a matter of you know, from 343's end of just being like, so what's like the cost reward, I guess, factor of like how many people are going to buy it at this price kind of thing, and they kind of balance that out to see if it's worth putting stuff at that price.
Well, and the one thing, like one of the items in the store recently was like what last week I think was Mr. Chief as an AI. That was such a major turnoff to a lot of people, especially people who have been around since Halo 5's launch, because I think we all can remember the Rec Pack trailer. Where it was Mr. Chief telling the guy, well, wouldn't this unbalance the gameplay? Shut up. That's what we get from Mr. Chief. Like everyone's just like, nah, I don't need this one, bro. I don't need it.
Well, I like the little Mr. Chief thing. Like that thing, that's been around since the Bungie days, but Halo 5 like actually kind of put a personality to it. Nick Offerman did a great job though, but what he was saying wasn't exactly the nicest things to the player base.
Exactly. When it comes to that, yeah, like it really was one of those things where people love Mr. Chief because that was like one of the original Halo 2, Halo 3 memes. And I remember like getting the art book and seeing Mr. Chief for the first time, like that Halo graphic novel. But yeah, like it was something that kind of put a bad spin on him for years. And even some people like still remember that, like myself. This is what we get from Mr. Chief telling us to shut up. Why do I want this guy in my ears?
Well, I think it was supposed to be kind of a tongue-in-cheek, kind of like jokey kind of thing, obviously. I just think maybe just like within the context of how people were not receiving like the rec packs and stuff like that, it just didn't look good.
It didn't land right.
Yeah, it didn't land quite right. But like honestly, I thought the Mr. Chief thing was cool. I thought like having it as an AI was pretty cool. All the voice acting was good. It's just that for $20, that ain't it, Chief.
Right. And I've been saying, like, you and me have both been saying that phrase every time we look at that damn store. This ain't it, Chief. But like that was literally the thing. This ain't it, Chief. The one thing I'll say about the store is that, like, yeah, the idea of having new AIs and stuff is definitely a cool idea, a great concept, and something that, you know, some people like, some people hate, you know, especially with the memeing, you know, funny stuff, the haha, you know, chuckle fuck stuff. But the one thing that like people were comparing this to was the Voices of War pack that they released for Halo 5 Guardians back in like, what was it, 2016? When that came out,
something like that.
And people were like, you know, I paid $10 and I got Buck, one of the most iconic Spartans. I got, you know, the monitor of the installation, and I got this badass grunt, and I got to pay $20 and I get this, you know, guy who told me to shut up and spend money, like, you know.
Oh yeah, I totally understand that.
Like I think they definitely need to rework the bundles, and like one thing that and this is something I guess we could bring up is armor coatings. Some people, including myself, could like see armor coatings as one of the worst changes to Halo when it comes to player expression because of how limiting it is, and compared to the, you know, the tertiary color option. But one thing that I'm hoping we're going to see, and maybe you can give your input on what you hope to see with armor coatings in the future, is I hope that they'll maybe start coming out with bundles that come with armor coatings for all your different armors if they're going to sell it to you in a bundle, you know, really add that value. But I would love to hear your thoughts on armor coatings in that situation with the store.
Well, we did actually see that with I think the first day of the Tenrai, like the daily pack. You had like that tan color for all 3 armor cores available, which is like cool that you have it all for 3 armor cores. I believe that like armor coatings should be cross core available. They already kind of have that for some of the coatings, like the HCS one we've seen, you know, a bunch of times.
That green one's not bad. That one for the first event was not bad.
I like that one a lot. I rock that one right now on my Yoroi. So I think like, yeah, coatings, like, especially with like Mark 7 and Mark 5 being so similar, that's something like obviously it would take more time to make sure it looks good for each core, but it really should be available for whatever armor set you want to use. I mean, Destiny already does that with their shaders, and they have a million different types of armor customization for your character. So I don't see why you can't do it for Infinite. Obviously, it's more work, but I think it's work worth doing. Coding system overall, I like it. I mean, colors never really were that, and customization for me as a Halo fan since like 2001. Maybe I'm just like too much of a boomer of it, but like it's always been like a nice addition, but nothing really I cared too much about. Like I never really was one to like grind out all the armor sets in the previous game until like MCZ, because, you know, just being a Halo content creator, just I want all the things
right
for Halo at least. But like customization was always just kind of like a secondary thing. Like I always just cared more about the gameplay itself and is the game fun. And then if I can make my Spartan look cool, that's great. If not, whatever, you know?
yeah
That's kind of how I feel about like customization, just like in general in Halo. Like obviously I think Reach has done it the best. And I think they kind of still have done it the best, though Infinite does do a great job. Honestly, I'd say like maybe like second best to Reach in the franchise, I would say.
with the amount of options it gives. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, with the amount of options and things you can change on the Spartan. And I think we can both agree on this when it comes to the amount of stuff that you can unlock and how easy it is to unlock, and then like with how much of it, the stuff that people do want is locked behind the store instead of like doing an event like Tenrai or an event like the Battle Pass or something. I think that definitely needs to be reworked, like in the future.
And there is like a little bit of a balance that we have right now between paid coatings and coatings you unlock either by playing the campaign, getting those lockers, or you unlock from, like I said, doing external things like promotions or Twitch drops. And I think there's also, are there any multiplayer coatings from just playing multiplayer that you earn for free?
I do not know.
Besides, we got the Battle Pass, but that's tied to monetization as well.
There's really no like free armor coatings that, besides like the campaign ones, and even then you have to buy the $60 campaign, which a lot of people had an issue with the price of campaign to what you were paying for. And when it comes to like in the future when we get Forge and, you know, a number of other things, co-op campaign, like is that really going to just still justify that $60 price tag? And I would expect Forge to be in the free to play multiplayer, not behind the, you know, campaign paywall. But like I'm just in my head, I'm like, it's a fun campaign, but like at the same time, I really hope when they do DLC, and maybe you can give me your opinions on, you know, future campaign DLC, I really hope that they add more biomes, because it felt very plain, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, like I felt like, you know, we had 3 biomes. We had either Banished area, the Halo Ring, or we had the Forerunner like sections. I really like, whenever I thought of that original trailer, like if we all remember, what was it, 2018, when we saw the initial Halo Infinite like announcement trailer, when I saw the sand biome and I saw like the forest with the water and the deer in it, I was just like so excited. And then not having that, I was like, oh, I really hope that they bring back these concepts in some sort of free story-based DLC.
I think we will definitely get some more biomes. My wife got me the Halo Infinite art book for Christmas, so she's amazing. One of the little excerpts I was reading within the book said that these sections of the ring have their own like flavor, I guess I think was the phrase that they worded it as, and saying that like the section that we're showing like within like the concept art is like the most intact section of the ring, being like, and they just showed like, you know, the Pacific Northwest biome kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And some of the concept art did show like islands that were like totally desert and stuff like that as well. And so I do fully expect to see like probably with like campaign expansions adding like a whole new island that you can, you know, go to as well, that will have either like a snowy environment, desert environment, swampy environments, you know, kind of stuff like that. So
I would love a DLC where we like maybe explore the library of like the ring or something like that. Like a lot of people have alluded to the flood returning and talked about the idea of the flood returning. People are like super into that idea, and in some aspects I am too, of course, but I would love a storyline DLC where, you know, it is horror-esque on the ring, going through the swamps trying to like get to the library in a way, something like that, where it's sure horror, and maybe you have, you know, Spartan hunter squads coming after you, and maybe it could be like a prequel, or, you know, like the remains of the Banished or something, where it's just these insane elites and brutes, you know, hiding through the forest, and all you see is the glow of like red energy blades or hammers and whatnot. I think that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, I know a lot of people have been wanting to see Halo go into that horror genre, especially since the Flood are basically space zombies.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, could be an easy transition there for sure. I think a big aspect of horror, though, would definitely have to play into vulnerability of the character as well. Like that's why games like Outlast have done so well, because like you're just like, you have no weapon, you're just like hiding around the whole time, just hopefully no one kills me, kind of thing.
The redemption of the MCC over the past like few years and how much it has kind of, made a comeback. I mean, I remember 2014 when that game came out. I was like super pumped for that game.
Oh, me too.
I did a 24-hour live stream and it was one of the worst fucking things I ever did because I'm sitting there. I can't get into a single match. Campaign was buggy. It was broken. I had all my friends over hanging out at the house, and like I had this wide angle like webcam at the time. And it was just like we were hanging out and enjoying, what we could. But after a while, I just said, you know what? I've almost gone full 24 hours. I'm just going to end it here because literally there's nothing we can do. We've played through all the campaigns.
I cannot believe you made it to almost 24 hours of just basically a screensaver of a game.
Yeah, exactly. But like I was saying though, like the game's kind of made a little bit of a redemption run over the past few years.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What was, in your opinion, like one of the best quality of life features that they added to that game post the downfall of MCC? Like what was your favorite addition that they added?
I mean, on the grand scale of things, coming to PC.
Yeah. Okay.
Like pretty much from like when I started playing Battlefield 3 on PC, like back in 2012, 2013 or something like that. I just been nothing but a PC gamer ever since then. And the only reason why I ever got an Xbox was because of Halo for MCC, for Halo 5. And then now that it came on PC, I can just play all my favorite Halo games on PC now. And with like higher resolution, better frame rates and stuff like that. Mods. And yeah, just like coming to PC is just like a huge quality of life improvement that like, that was my favorite thing about the whole thing. Like it just kind of, even though I played throughout 2018, right? Of just like through all these whole updates and stuff like that. But then when it came to PC, it just felt like it had like a whole new life again for like a third time.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's been lots of like technical issues we've all ran into, that there's still things that people point out on the daily whenever I upload videos saying they still need to address this on MCC. And I'm just like, yeah, I wish they would too. I don't think that's going to be happening, dog. Like I just don't see that small insignificant thing being checked on unless like there's a loud enough bang on the door for them to do it. But with MCC, like for me, I was happy when it came to PC. This year I tried, and I know this is going to get me some heat in the community, I tried to go back and play the old 360 Halo 3 and Reach and ODST. I can't do it on that frame rate. I can't do it on that resolution and with co-op lag and everything. The quality of life improvements that they made to MCC is made it so hard to go back and enjoy those older games. Like, have you gone back at all this year to play any of the older 360 era titles to finish up any achievements or anything?
I sold my 360 when I got an Xbox One. So I haven't had a 360 in a long time. But like, you can play on Xbox One too. But yeah, like pretty much since MCC has come to PC, my Xbox has just been locked, bagged up in my closet the whole time.
Yeah.
Like I haven't gone back since, because just playing on PC for me is just so much more enjoyable and way less moving parts when it comes to streaming and stuff like that as well.
Right, exactly. My Xbox One X, it's the only Xbox I've got left, is my Xbox One X, which I didn't even want the thing. My mom bought it for me on a whim, like when it came out, and I didn't even realize she did this.
Oh, geez.
Literally, it's now just a dedicated 4K Blu-ray player in our living room.
Yeah.
That's its job. It's like the robot from Rick and Morty. What is my purpose? You play Blu-rays. That's all you're good for.
And then it looks down sadly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I could do so much more.
Yeah, you could do so much more, but I've got two PCs hooked up together upstairs. I'm good. I don't need you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, like I think there's actually some questions here that I've gotten from my community.
Okay.
I put this up on Twitter and other social medias, and they've asked some pretty good questions. So I think I'm going to share some of these.
Can we answer two questions that no, I don't get paid, and yes, you did get clickbaited.
So the first question comes from TL Warrior Thomas, who's a longtime subscriber of mine. Here's my question: who is the best written Spartan character in the novels? Also, what is the meaning of life, Sergeant?
Oh, geez. See, like I haven't really gotten too much into the novels. Like I've read Fall of Reach, I've read through Halo Escalation. I have a few other comics I need to go through as well, and a couple books I have on my bookshelf I still need to go through. But just like I used to read them during my like downtime, but like now I barely have any downtime. Best written Spartan. That's a hard one because like everything is just so secondary to Master Chief when it comes to writing. You'd really have to go into the books.
I think that they rid him the best in Infinite.
Yeah.
In Infinite, he
oh
was
yeah,
amazing.
it was like it was the perfect balance between like that zippy one-liner CE Chief and like the emotional emo Chief from Halo 4. Like it was a great like balance between the two, which I really like. That's like my preferred. Actually, it's probably the best version of Chief we've ever had. Is in Halo
the
Infinite.
Scene with the pilot when the pilot has the meltdown and is having a little tantrum. That was such an emotional scene. I know not just for myself, but a lot of people love that scene out of the entire game.
Have you seen the scene where someone like bleeped the word fail?
What?
Like in that scene, he bleeped the word fail, and so that it sounds like he's saying the F word.
Oh my god.
It's hilarious. You have to find it.
I'm gonna say like the best written Spartans is Buck and the remains of the ODST squad.
Yeah.
They were in 2 novels, New Blood and Bad Blood, which I still say New Blood is the best Halo novel to be, released out of all of them. I think it's the best written. I think it's like the most emotional and probably the best novel I've read. But I think that that squad was written the best in the novels, and I think they did right by them.
Mm-hmm. Actually, I would say that probably Kelly. I did read Fall of Reach, and there was a bit of like a back and forth between Chief and Kelly. Not more like a rivalry, brother sister kind of thing. So they kind of dig into that relationship with Chief a little bit more. But like every Spartan is so secondary to the Master Chief, besides obviously in Halo 5.
Yeah,
that's a different topic to talk about right there. But I'd probably go with Kelly. And the meaning of life is happiness.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy, go for it.
There you go. So this next one comes from another regular, someone that has been in the Halo community for a long time. As long as I've been on YouTube, this person has been reaching out to me and has been a really cool person, J-Dog, who asked the question, what classic Halo map would you want a new Halo Infinite map to take inspiration from? That's actually a really good question in my opinion.
You're right. Yeah, because 343 did say, at least the lead multiplayer designer said that they're not really looking to do remakes in Halo Infinite, which honestly I'm kind of fine with. I'm just kind of want more new experiences because I feel like Halo's just been so stuck in the past. I would like to find a way to move forward, especially since Infinite's kind of like a rebirth of the franchise kind of thing. But if we're going to take inspiration from a previous map, and we really kind of got that with Aquarius and Midship, and then also we had like Valhalla, Blood Gulch remake kind of with fragmentation in a way. You can kind of see the spiritual roots in there.
Yeah.
I've always really liked the Pit. It's always been like one of my favorite maps of all time.
A lot of people have compared Live Fire to the Pit.
No. It's not, that hits different. The Pit hits different.
Yeah,
definitely hits different. And that or like I think Guardian actually probably work out pretty cool as well because like being able to utilize like the grapple shot for different elevation changes, because that's one thing about Guardian that was always kind of limiting ability. And if you had like a grapple shot or like the repulsor in there, you could probably pull some really cool moves on that map.
I think that would be really interesting because Guardian is my all-time favorite Halo map. Nothing has before or after it has beaten Guardian. Like when I think of like either my casual ranking days in the Halo 3 or watching MLG events back in the day, back when MLG was just the god tier for esports. Now it's like ESL and HCS and everything else. That was the map that I always loved playing on. I love the aesthetics of it. And I think when it comes to Forerunner design, you could do that map justice and even make it even more like grassy and foresty, like have small remains of the Forerunner complex.
I'd also really like to see coagulation. I've always been a Blood Gulch like Andy. I've just been simping for that map for ever. I have so many memories. I think like back in Combat Evolved, just doing like lands with my friends in the neighborhood. We just play CTF Blood Gulch.
Yeah.
And whenever I got tired of playing that for 3 hours straight, we might do a little bit of Rat Race or Hang 'em High CTF,
Yeah, like, and that's the one thing about Blood Gulch is it's such an iconic map. Sorry, I'm taking gimmick infringement from Hidden. With that map, like you've got so many ties to it. Red versus Blue, it was iconic for that. Like it was the initial big team battle map. When people think of big team battle, they think Coagulation, Blood Gulch, so on and so forth.
And the hard part about Blood Gulch though is that it's so open, and if you have some weapons like the battle rifle, which is hit scan, that makes things pretty difficult to move around in. Like if you played a Halo 2 Anniversary Bloodline, I think it's called, right?
Yeah, something like that.
It's so standoffish because everyone spawns with hit scan battle rifles. Like you can't go through the middle of the map at all like you could back in CE because of the inaccuracy of the pistol, like especially over range if you didn't know how to shoot it right, or having the, being projectile, you had to lead your shots and stuff like that. So human air got in the way. But since we spawned with like sidekick ARs in BTB, I think it could work. You would definitely have to change the map up a bit, add some more cover and stuff like that. But I would just still like to see Bloodgulch come back.
I would like to see it like definitely with a lot more cover, maybe more trees.
Yeah.
More trees, more forests, even rock structures in the middle, maybe.
Yeah,
would
definitely.
be cool because I remember with Bloodline, they had that little bunker in the middle. Like it did a little bit of good, but it didn't really do shit.
Right.
It was a great place to get the power weapon, but that was it.
It was hard to get there in the first place because you had to go across an open field with hit scan battle rifles.
I did like the idea of having those EMPs on the two bases. Like someone comes in with a vehicle or Hornet or something, you just EMP him out of the sky, and then everyone just pumps lead into him. I thought that was a pretty cool idea.
It's a cool idea for sure. But now that we have like the shock damage type as well, like the shock rifle and nades and stuff like that, might be a little too much on vehicles. But again, we're just getting into details about hypotheticals.
Yeah. And our next question actually comes from Stormio UA, good friend of the channel, who's been recently just popping up in chat nonstop in my Twitch. But they ask, what's a detail in Halo that is so insignificant, but it makes you appreciate Halo even that much more?
I was actually kind of feeling this playing Halo Infinite, the detail of the grass and foliage in the game, because when you're playing the game, you're like, yeah, it's just grass, whatever. But when you like kind of stop and look at it, like in just like one little square foot of like grass patch, you have like different flower types, different grass types, like weeds and just like and bushes and stuff like that like it all kind of, when you're just playing, it all kind of just blends together. It's just like foliage and grass. But when you actually sit there and look at it, like someone had to model out every little bit about this. And I was just like, when I would stop and look at it, I'm like, wow, this actually like is incredibly detailed for just like a little tiny patch of grass within the world of Zeta Halo. It just made it just feel that much more like a lively world. To me, that's like definitely an insignificant thing about Halo Infinite that I felt like I really appreciated, and this guy made it just feel more like an actual place.
Yeah. For me, like when it comes to the overall like look, it's the trails, right? Like you'll be driving down something and you'll see a little path, right? And you'll be like, I wonder if something's down there, and you'll go down there and it just leads to like some like really cool area, or the caves. Like I liked the caves in Infinite because you would come across one of them and you're like, okay, is this gonna be something that's a nothing burger, or is this gonna lead me into a really dope fight or something?
Right. Yeah.
And you'll go in there and you won't expect, you'll see dead bodies, you'll see dead Marines, dead grunts, but then all of a sudden you get a sword jabbed through your stomach and you're like, oh, well, shit. Okay.
Like, oh, this is how Emil felt.
Oh, that's brutal.
Too soon?
It's been 10 years.
But yeah.
All right. Actually, here's something that goes into what you just talked about, the electronic equipment. What's y'all's opinion on the electronic equipment? In my opinion, they add nothing of value and make plasma weapons weaker and make the plasma pistol literally useless. Electronic equipment worsens vehicle combat and EMP vehicles too easily. Okay.
I'm talking about like having the shock damage type, the electric damage type?
Yeah, like the shock rifle, the disruptor, and the shock grenades. Like I think that's what he's referring to. Okay. I like the idea, but from a canon standpoint, because I'm a lore nut, like that's the one thing me and Hin could probably talk about for days is lore. To me, that's the only thing that I have found a problem with was the explanation. But like what are your thoughts on the shock weapons and so on?
I think it's an awesome addition, honestly. I think they kind of brought it up. We're saying like how plasma has different kind of attributes depending on the weapon you were using within the Halo sandbox, like saying the plasma pistol being able to disable vehicles, and then compared to like having like a plasma rifle that didn't do that kind of thing, So like from just like a basic like understanding of Halo standpoint, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because you're shooting the same stuff, right? But this time it doesn't do it, kind of thing. So I think they're kind of trying to fill that void a little bit. I know a lot of people said they wanted to have the plasma pistol come back as being able to disable vehicles in Halo Infinite. I don't agree with that, since we do have the shock damage type. Like if you've ever used the disruptor, that pistol does a great job at disabling vehicles. The shock rifle does like in 2 shots. The dynamo grenades do it like in 1 nade instantly. Yeah. I think right now, like the only issue with the plasma pistol is that the tracking on players is really weak. And I definitely want to see that improved. I talked about that in one of my sandbox update video, where I would like to see that improved, because I showed clips of it like not actually landing where I feel like it should have. That's my only change I would do with the plasma pistol, just have better tracking. Not like Halo 2 level, obviously, but like Halo 5, Halo Reach style tracking or something like that.
Like for me, like, yeah, I like the idea of new elements coming in. It was just from the lore standpoint that was just like, you know, that's kind of odd. Like, do they explain like, oh, the Unicy's come up with better technology or something? With the shielding, yeah, it does give the plasma pistol a purpose. I just think they need to rework how the plasma pistol, you know, actually works. And another plasma weapon, actually, I think that needs a rework is the pulse carbine. In multiplayer, it's doable, but it is really too slow. I think like if they made it like it's campaign variant where it's a little bit faster, I think that people would start using that weapon more significantly. Like, thoughts on like the pulse carbine, if you don't mind me asking. Do you think the pulse carbine needs a rework? Do you like how it is?
I would like to see it get a buff, but it is very good in very specific situations where like if a player's moving it this kind of way and you're kind of moving that direction, like and you're in red reticle range, then like it can be really effective in specific moments. But like if you're doing like side by side, like 1v1 strafe battles kind of thing at close range, yeah, not good at all. But it's great at catching people off guard where you can like probably get him with a full 5 burst shot and then tap him with one shot with a battle rifle. I've done that plenty of times playing competitive. Like I still pick it up in competitive because in specific situations it works out really well. But like if you're like a 1v1 battle, kind of iffy, which I think most like kind of honestly casual players will probably come across more often, because I think higher skilled players will probably find themselves on less 1v1 face-off battles and more sneaking up behind people because positioning is so huge in Halo. It's good, I think, right now. Could it be better? I think so. I can't remember what I mentioned in my update video, sandbox video, because I talked about every weapon in there, but I would like to see it maybe like have the tracking be a little bit more generous to where you could like catch a guy who might have been like strafing off to the right or left or something like that, as long as you're in red reticle range, because the intention of it is to rip shields, swap to your kinetic weapon, get that headshot. And sometimes you can do that. A lot of times you can't. It's definitely not meant to kill players, that's for sure. You can do it, but it's not designed for that purpose.
Every weapon has a role now, and that's something that, you know, a lot of people are actually liking about Halo Infinite Sandbox. It's not just the BR meta. There's been a lot of contention and a lot of like disagreements in the Halo community about, you know, the battle rifle. Does it need to be a starter weapon? Does it not be? The thing for me is, and this might be, I guess, my experience of playing other games over this past year, because I kind of got, you know, burnt out on Halo. And I went to do Apex. And the one thing that like really taught me about being okay with like meta changes and updates and tweaks to weapons was playing Apex, where when I joined, the Spitfire, which is the big LMG, was the meta. Everyone was using it. And then they nerfed it and changed this. And now the Flatline is the meta. And that's something that I think we kind of, and this is a thing that I've gotten heat for, but you know, the idea of meta changes and things changing is something that, you know, the community's been strictly against. Like, no, the BRs should always be the primary weapon, and you know, nothing should outdo it. But to me, I think that's kind of a little bit of like old way of thinking, especially when back in 2007 to 2010, we didn't get regularly posted updates for games for weapon changes and stuff, unless it was like a map pack or something that they could sell.
I would honestly say though, like with Halo Infinite, like sandbox wise, I think this is the best launch sandbox we've ever had.
Yeah,
honestly, and I think they trimmed the fat a lot. Like, yeah, some of your favorite weapons might not be in there, like the brute shot and stuff like that, but I think like other weapons like the cinder shot kind of fill in that role a little bit as well, if not do a little better job of it. Especially in Team Slayer, you really get a chance to use the sandbox a lot more, say, compared to competitive, because like the sidekick and AR at close range can kill faster than a battle rifle, but the battle rifle absolutely dominates at mid-long range. Like the battle rifle in Team Slayer still feels like a power weapon whenever I'm using it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm an unfair advantage on a lot of people. It's just the Halo community. It's just like we have such a long history, and a lot of people don't like to see their favorite version of Halo change.
Well, and I've been in that way for a while myself. Like I was, you've seen some of my takes and everything. Like some of my takes are like, I prefer, you know, this more like classic style. But then like there's sometimes when people can, you know, change my mind if they, you know, bring the argument across properly.
Yeah, definitely with Infinite Sandbox, like they definitely lowered the amount of weapons that are in the game, but more doesn't always mean better. Especially in Halo 5, there was a lot of redundancies.
Yeah.
When it comes to the sandbox as well. I do kind of miss the heat-seeking ricochet from the scatter shot. I do kind of miss that.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're just starting right now with Halo. We don't know what the long-term plan is right now for Halo Infinite. We might get a little bit of that with like a roadmap, which I think we'll get, you know, in a few weeks or something like that. But
that's what I think we really need is a roadmap.
I think the main thing right now, we just need patience.
Yeah.
And that's something
thing like that it's gonna be hard to get patience in the community right now because of, you know, how long this game has been development, how long this has been talked about and everything. Patience right now is at an all-time low for some people in the community, and for other people they're understanding, but a lot of people are just like, this is so frustrating, it's been this amount of time. I had this good conversation with Duquesne on Twitter the other day, just saying, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I understand why people are having a hard time having patience. Like, because I know there's been like quotes about this, but supposedly this more so had a 2.5 year development cycle due to all the setbacks and everything.
Yeah.
The one thing is that, you know, 6 years and it feels like a lot of the game modes and things that we expected to be there, especially with, you know, the controversy that was Halo 5 with the lack of content, and it feels like we're getting that same issue with Infinite. I can understand why people could have a little less patience with it.
Yeah, I'm sure they had like an idea of what they wanted to do with Halo Infinite. It's just that they were going to start developing the game. And then they had, you know, 2018, 2019, more like probably 2019, really. Because that's when we first saw our actual like cutscene from the game, actual in-game content was in 2019.
Right.
And then 2020, pandemic happened. That definitely set them back at least 6 months, if not really even a year. I'm sure you watched like the August development update with Sketch and Joseph Staten, right?
Yeah.
And like they were showcasing like how they were doing development now. And they're just like playing on Xboxes, and they had like webcams facing like 4 different like large screen TVs.
Oh, fuck.
And then those people were on like team meetings, like through, you know, remoting in and just being like, that screen, go back. You know, I saw something weird happen there. Like that slows down the process of development so much too. So I know that when people say like, we've had 6 years to get this next Halo game, true. There's been 6 years. They've had 6 years to make the next Halo game. That's also very true. But I will say that Halo Infinite's really only had about, probably like 2.5 years of honest, like true development time.
Right. People like want to talk about transparency. I would love to hear, like, I know we're never going to get it, because the thing is like, if they ever did like say 100% what was going on and everything, some people, even the people that say, well, we want 100% transparency, are going to say, that's not true, I don't believe you. It's like, okay, you can't win, you can't lose, you know. It's
Dude,
like,
we have the most open and communicative development team in any gaming industry that I know of, at least right now. From everything I pay attention to, at least. I don't pay attention to like Rocket League or something like that, but like between like Battlefield, Call of Duty, Apex, they don't say anything, because they know once one developer says one little thing, internet's gonna run wild with it and then blow it up into something that could be way bigger than it needs to be, you know? I think that actually happened right now with Battlefield, actually, where like one developer just said like, hey, we just came back from break, I see all this kind of stuff, and they kind of like, you know, we're gonna get onto it. And then like the Reddit, they had to, I think they almost shut down the Battlefield Reddit like they did with Halo, because people are just getting so incredibly toxic over the Battlefield side of things. So that's why like so many times development companies are so quiet until like there's something new to buy or some big update to get you to come back into the game. So I mean, I believe 343 what they say. They might kind of like be a little bit more hush hush on like the more negative things, because they don't want to like, you know, trash anybody at Microsoft or at, you know, management and stuff like that. Because if you ask like a development like, why is Fortnite in the game, you'd be like, well, I don't know, probably because a manager prioritized something else, you know, instead.
Well, yeah, and that's something that me and one of my co-hosts has talked about, was when that supposed dev came out, right? I'm sure I believe you talked about this, and I kind of was like, you know, we need to look into this, because I'm someone who, I don't go off of speculation unless it's 100% like confirmed thing. I very rarely go off of speculation, but that one I kind of wanted to talk about whenever it did happen, because when you really think about it, it's the head of 343 or whoever's in charge going up to Microsoft saying, look, we might need more time. This feature is co-op. Let's say co-op is not ready. And they're like, well, is it needed? No, it's not needed for the game to function, but it's something that people expect. And the person's like, ship it. We can add it later. It's not necessary in their opinion. And it's not fully the developers. I wish that we would see a lot more pushback, but at the same time, 6 years, like some people aren't going to be patient after even 6 years, even if they got the full transparency of it.
Yeah, understandable. I still feel like it's a total flop on 343 side to not have co-op at launch. Like you knew that co-op needed to be there in the game day one. Obviously, after playing Halo Infinite's campaign, I can kind of see why it's taken so long. Because if we just got like a traditional Halo campaign, right, with like missions, you play, they're like 30 minutes long, whatever, load in the next mission kind of thing, you know, kind of stuff. Where this one's like an interconnected world with like systems that are connected to like the multiplayer as well in some capacity. And also everyone having their different kind of progress, like that. And also playing the campaign, like I understand why we don't have theater mode for campaign either, because like if you're just roaming around the open world, are you gonna have like a 2-hour, 3-hour long like video file of like campaign, you know? I mean, I absolutely want to see campaign theater to come in, but I still don't see how that can work. And that's why we also don't have like replayable missions, because the way it interacts with maybe different systems and people's different game states and stuff like that. Because like when you're playing Halo Infinite, like the campaign, I feel like the world evolves as you play the game. It feels like, to me at least. And so bringing other people in doesn't mess up with their save situation and stuff like that. And I hope we get to play as like your multiplayer Spartan as a co-op as well. That would be pretty sweet as well.
Yeah.
But like again, like it kind of brings it to that around to that point of like talking about it's been 6 years, because on our end it's been 6 years, and 343's end probably more at 2.5 years when it comes to development. And I would agree that like co-op isn't needed for the game to launch to be good, but it definitely should be there.
That's something that I think a lot of people were passionate about when that news dropped, because Joe Stan was sitting there telling us, oh, I've been playing through the games with my kids, and oh, Halo Infinite's not gonna have co-op campaign at launch. It's like it was just like a kick to the balls. But I've got a couple more questions here from viewers.
Yeah, we went really deep on that question.
Yeah, no, that was like really good conversation there. But Metcross asked, question, what is the best helmet in Halo?
Oh, geez.
This is very subjective, so be very careful in what you pick.
Yeah, it's a super subjective. Yeah, right. I've always just been a fan of Recon.
I've
always liked it since Halo 3 and Halo Reach. And I did actually, if we're going to go into a little bit more niche helmet, I really liked in Halo 5's helmet that was like called Raijin, I believe it was called, like Raijin.
Yeah.
That one looked really cool, actually. That was the helmet I rocked in Halo 5. So I kind of have a little bit of a connection with that one, I guess. But definitely Recon would be the one
it's
I
such
like.
An iconic
it just looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good in every art style.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll say is like the one thing I liked in Halo 5, there was this helmet that I got on day one. I don't know if it was a bonus I got or something from some sort of promotion or something, but it was this nice helmet and armor. And you remember when they did those 3D printed Spartans? Yeah. So
for Halo 5's launch.
Yeah, I saw Green Skull do one.
Yeah, I did.
Or because he got his early, and I did one for a video, and I got this big bulky, because I'm a bigger dude, you know, kind of an OC character sort of thing. I'm gonna pick this one, and people in the comments got so mad at me. Why did you get a better looking one than Green Skull? What the fuck? Like they were mad at me because mine came out a little bit better quality than Green Skull's. I was like, guys, do I look like I'm the one that made it? Jeez.
Well, I think I actually looked into it because at the time the game's launch, I didn't have the money for like to spend on that. But then like around 2018, I was like, can I maybe get like a Halo 5 Spartan model? Because I remember they did that, but they discontinued it after like that initial year.
Yeah.
There was like a small version and like a larger version, if I remember correctly.
I got the larger one.
Yeah, see, they probably were able to make it look nicer because of like the extra size they could model it after. It was a smaller one. It definitely looked a little blobby at times.
Yeah.
I think I remember seeing Green Skulls, it looked a little blobby, but like it was your Spartan, you know, 3D printed, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. The one thing that was cool, like with the customization with Infinite, is like, imagine we had all the color options and everything. People's OCs with all the customization options that hopefully they'll add as time goes on and everything is going to be really cool. And when it comes to like the store items, I've only bought, I think, 2 items out of the store.
You're part of the problem, man.
Yeah. Well, no, like, you know, I bought 2 things, and the one thing like my rule is like, I don't want to support the store, but like if it's something that I actually genuinely like, or something that I feel like gives me the value for what it is, I wouldn't mind it. And one, the Cloud9 pack, I believe, doesn't the money from the like esports stuff go back into the esports like pool?
They said a portion of it does.
Yeah, like that was my contribution to the esports side, because I'm a Cloud9 fanboy. But also I bought the Halo Legends pack when that came out, because Halo Legends was such a cool OVA. I don't know, have you ever watched Halo Legends?
No. What was the Halo Legends pack part of?
It was the teddy bear charm and the anime like visor and stuff like that, because Halo Legends was an anime like done by a bunch of different artists and anime creators, including the creator of Dragon Ball Z, but it came with like the teddy bear charm and the flower because it was based off Daisy 029 or 023.
Oh, that's what like the little Daisy customization, the helmet attachment.
Yeah.
I remember that people saying about that. I never watched any of them, so I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and for me, that was such a cool customization due to the fact that I was a fan of Halo Legends. It was part of the extended lore. No one ever really got like extended lore on. I was like, I've got to get this just for that. But our final question, and this is actually something that both you and me can answer. This comes from Brutally Digital. If you had the opportunity to improve one thing in Infinite, what would it be?
Oh, geez. Because there's a lot of things too. But
Yeah.
improving would mean something that's already in the game to make better. You know, that's not like add Forge. Like, yeah, obviously that would improve Infinite, but I think improving implies that what's ever in the game right now, what would I make better? I would probably say I would like to see BTB work again. That'd be cool. I haven't played that in a month.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Honestly, I'd probably say the desync issue stuff that's going on to where, like, you know, getting shot around corners and things like that.
Oh yeah.
I just have to have a little snappier gameplay experience. I'm not sure what's causing that, or maybe it's a low tick rate. Maybe it's just like something up with the engine or something. But that would be the one thing I would like to see. Number one thing, because it would just improve the gameplay. Because I'm just all about the gameplay when it comes to having a good Halo game.
Right. Like for me, like technically they're in the game. I mean, those game modes that are locked away in the files.
Yeah.
I could say that because honestly, those game modes, like those tactical game modes, like these are kind of like Breakout-esque, I would say. And originally people loved original Breakout. Like people didn't like it whenever they changed and gave everyone shotguns, from what I remember.
Oh, 2.0 was ass.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people didn't like 2.0.
I didn't like Breakout at first because I felt like it was just rip off of Call of Duty Search and Destroy. But then, then like I got into it like 2 years later, and I was like, this is actually really fun. And it came out at 2.0. I'm like, this isn't really fun.
Yeah, exactly. I would kind of be in the same spot as you. I would say definitely the desync issue and connectivity in general. Like right now, like there's a I think a not packet loss, but a data leak or whatever that's causing people's games to crash.
Yeah.
And that happened to us a bunch last night. It happened to my boy Scrubsy. It happened to my boy Infamous. Either the desync or the crashing issues, one or the other.
And whenever they had that stability update in December, I have had like 0 crashes since. I'm able to stream for like 4 or 5 hours, no problem.
Lucky. I didn't get any crashes last night. I got lucky, fingers crossed. I didn't get any crashes. No, I think that is a good way to end it out. We had a good hour-long conversation. If you guys want to see more of these, or if you want to see Kevin come back whenever like we have some really significant Halo news to talk about, maybe we can have you know, a little chime in from Kevin, you know, have a little news sound effect or something, have you chime in with the Halo news or something for an episode.
That'd be great, dude. Yeah, it'd be cool.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, guys. If you guys want to see more of the Around the Ring podcast, go ahead and drop a like on this. If you dislike it, hey, you know what? I can't see it anymore, so go ahead, dislike it for all I care. If you guys have other names of people that you would like to see on the show, go ahead and leave them down in the comment section down below. But as always, I'll see you guys next time. GamerJlee and KevinKoolx signing out.